Hi, and welcome to AaronOnAutos.com. This is Aaron in the 2013 Mitsubishi Outlander. This is the Outlander Sport. This is another shaky cam interior review. We're just going to quickly go over some of the controls in the driver's cockpit. First thing you'll see is, of course, the instrument cluster, and down here on the left, you have lighting control and the traction control on and off. Then the instrument cluster is pretty much what you would expect to see. It has the engine is not on right now. I just have the power on, so it's displaying all the lights. But tachometer and speedometer, and in the center here, your odometer is at the bottom, and it's always there. This stuff changes according to what you're doing. Right now, it shows the fuel level and how many miles estimated you can go on that, and the exterior temperature. You can change this to show things like what kind of fuel economy you're getting, which is this default setting. You can have it display the trip meter, overall fuel economy averages for like this current trip or since you last filled or whatever. You change all of that stuff with this little button right here, or with the mode button on the steering wheel. And since we're on the steering wheel, let's go look at that. Audio controls and telephone, and then over here you have cruise control. Standard, pretty standard setup. This also has paddle shifting, and then if you pull this back and hold it, it leaves manual mode and goes back into regular mode. This Outlander is equipped with a continuously variable transmission. I will talk more about that when I do a full review of this, but I will say that it is not the best one out there. Mitsubishi needs to put a little work into that, and the short time I've spent in the 2014 model, which is a complete upgrade from this, they did do a lot to address that. It's a very, very, in here, it's very loud, and sport is kind of, how should I say it? Sport is a very relative term. This vehicle right here, as I tested it, 0 to 60 speed was just over 12 seconds. It was not very good. It's about on par in the segment, but it is not on par if you're going to put sport on the name, I think. Otherwise, though, does have stiffer handling and better steering, which I very much liked. This drives very, very well. Just don't expect to really get in a hurry or make those freeway merges really fast. So moving on from the front of the driver, we come over here. This is the infotainment screen, touch screen. Right now, this is the default, asking you to say OK because it's about to display a map because I've turned off the radio. Audio controls and stuff are fairly simple. It takes a couple of minutes to figure out how to hook up your phone. So I do recommend that if you buy this car, or if you want to test your phone in the car, that you get out that user's manual and flip through to the page that shows you how to do it, because then it will show you in 2 steps, and it's much, much easier than trying to figure it out on your own. Settings are fairly simple. This is mostly is obvious. One thing that is cool about this, I think, a lot of people probably think it's dumb. I think it's cool because it's kind of an old school throwback, is this. You just don't see this anymore, and I will say that if Grandma has this car, she may not be able to figure out where to put the CD, but yeah, that's just old school to me, and I kind of like it. You know, it reminds me of the good old days when having that was a cool thing. It was high dollar. This stuff right here is pretty standard. Airbag notices anyway, in the 4 ways. Down here's the climate controls, and these are very, very simply laid out. This has automatic climate, so you can turn it down to auto, set your temperature over here, and then tell it where you want the air to come out, and it's good to go. This shows you that the air conditioner is on, and this is the rear defrost for the back window. Down here's the shifter, again, straightforward, down and up, and then your up and down gears here, which mimics what the paddle shifters are doing up there, and your 4-wheel drive button. You press this once, it activates 4-wheel drive. Press it twice, it activates 4-wheel drive with a lock, so differential lock, so that all 4 tires are getting the same amount of power all the time. and the handbrake. And then inside the cubby is some extra plugs that come with the upgraded navigation and such package. And then over here, glove box, standard, nothing really unusual about it. And then the dash here, I just wanted to point that out. It's nice soft touch materials and things like that, but it's still kind of plain and boring looking. Doesn't really give you a feeling of high-end luxury or anything. But, you know, it's a $28,000 car as it sits like this with all this stuff in it. So, you know, you have to decide what you want. If it was me, I would not worry so much about the dash as I would about whether or not I have this Rockford Fosgate in here. Air conditioning and stuff works really well. It heats the back of the car much faster than you would expect. And then, of course, the creme de la creme, the real payoff for this car in this package is the ceiling. So I'm going to take you up really quick, and here are the controls. This right here opens and closes it. This is for the door lights. And then this is another set of lights, and I'll show you what that does in a minute. So you take this control and you pull it all the way back, and the panoramic roof opens. And this is just awesome because it goes all the way back past the back seat there. You see that? It's a beautiful panoramic roof. And then if you can see here, you see the LEDs. That's what this controls. They have 3 different settings. My little girls were calling them Christmas lights. That is one of the coolest things ever. I really like these panoramic roofs, and this one is unbroken all the way back. So it's a very cool thing. You might remember the Kia Sorento we reviewed had the same thing in it. So that's it. That's our review of the interior of the 2013 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. We will have the 2014 Outlander sometime probably in the next 2 or 3 months. I'm expecting to see it maybe in February. So you can expect to see a review of that, which is a totally revamped version of this car. It's completely different. Like I said, the short amount of time I've been in it, I was very impressed. So we will see how it is after a longer term drive. I've enjoyed this one. It's been a good car, and it more or less gets the mileage you expect. You have to subtract a couple from the expectations the EPA gives because of our high altitude here. This part of Wyoming in the Cheyenne area, we're at about 5,000 feet or so. So you really have to, you can't expect to get quite as much out of it as you would otherwise. Really enjoyed this car, and this has been Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com. This is the Driving in Wyoming podcast with the interior review of the 2013 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Talk to you again soon.